Hello, my friends, and welcome to another Parts of Speech video. Today we are going to talk about impostures. We're going to talk about two different types of impostures. But before we get started with that, let's do a quick review. What are the 5 things needed for a complete sentence? So think to yourself, what are the 5 things? The 5 things that are needed is every time you need to have a capital letter at the beginning. You need to have end punctuation, a period, an exclamation point, or a question mark. You need to have a subject. You need to have a verb, and it needs to make sense. Hopefully, you came up with the same 5. All right, what's a noun? A noun is a word that names a person, place, thing, or idea. What is a pronoun? A pronoun is a noun that takes a place of another noun. So let's do an example here a sec, just to make sure that you are good with this. Let's go. Joe ran. Very simple sentence, but we do have our subject. We do have our verb. We do have a capital letter and end punctuation, and it makes sense. So now, if I had a second sentence, he fell. Another very simple sentence. We have a subject, we have a verb, we have a capital letter at the beginning and end punctuation. But we're talking about pronouns. We know that in the first sentence, we're talking about Joe. In the second sentence, we don't use Joe's name. We use a pronoun, he. He refers to Joe, the antecedent. So we know that we're talking about Joe in the second sentence because we use the pronoun he. That's an example of a pronoun. A subject. A subject is a special type of noun. It's a word that's a person, place, thing, or idea. But what sets it aside from other nouns is that a subject is what the sentence is about. So in this sentence, who ran? Joe ran. That's why he is our subject. In the second sentence, who fell? Well, he fell. So the subject is this pronoun he. And the last thing, verbs. There are 2 types of verbs that we talked about. We talked about action verbs. In this, we have 2 action verbs, ran and fell. Okay, these are things that we can see happen. We can see Joe running by us. We can see Joe falling. Okay, so there are things called body action, which is a type of action verb. Okay, we also have mind action, like if I put Joe thought about tonight's speech. Thought. Okay, we can't necessarily see him doing that. We have mind action. We also have this thing called linking verb. Joe, whoa, sorry there. Let's try spelling that correctly. Joe is fit. Okay, in this sentence, we do not have any action. We have ourselves a linking verb. And remember I talked about the chain link. It links the subject to something else in the sentence. We have our subject, Joe. And what do we know about Joe? Well, we know Joe is fit. Okay, so this is our linking verb is. It links Joe to fit. All right, and the last thing is verbs tell us tense. When the action occurs, did it happen in the past? Is it happening right now, the present tense, or is it happening in the future? So depending on how we write that verb, it tells us when it happened. All right, today we are going to talk about an imposture. Well, what is an imposture? An imposture, um, one time a year, we get to and dress up as anything we'd like. This time is called Halloween. During Halloween, we are imposters. We dress up like something we are not. If you go to Vegas, a lot of times you'll see a lot of Elvis impersonators or imposters. Okay, so an impostor is someone that pretends to be another or something else. Okay, in the world of parts of speech, we also have imposters, and we're going to talk about two of them. We're going to talk about prepositional phrases. This tries to impostor a subject sometimes, so we need to be careful. We're also going to talk about infinitives, and this tries to look like a verb. So if we're not looking out for these imposters, sometimes they can trick us and we think we really have a verb when we have one of these imposters or a subject. So we're going to start by talking about an infinitive. There are two actions in the below sentence. So let's look at this sentence here. We have Madonna tries to run. Well, if I am new at parts of speech, I go, well, what's going on? I got two actions. I can try and I can run. So what's the verb? Do I have two verbs here? What's going on? Well, we have this little thing that's an imposture. And we have to be careful because infinitive, we have this infinitive. And an infinitive always is two words. So it's always made up of two words. Two plus an action word. So let's go back to this example sentence. And if you look at this, we have two right here. And it is followed by an action word. So we have our two words. We have the two and an action word. This is an infinitive. Excuse me. And if it's an infinitive, we know that that can't be our action. So now all we're left with is Madonna tries. Well, what did Madonna do? She's our subject. She tries. So our verb is tries. Looking down over here, for you math people that like formulas, this is the formula that you want to use to find infinitives. 2 plus an action word equals an infinitive. So here are some examples of infinitives. To eat, to paint, to want, to run. These are all start with the word to and are followed by an action word. But remember, we have this other form of to, T-O-O, instead of just T-O. Just a reminder that this means also. Okay, so beware of to, because to, O-O is not an imposture. So an example, Scott is too boring. T-O-O plus boring is not an imposture. Let's talk about the next type of imposture, which is called a prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrases are groups of words that show place or time, when or where the action takes place. So this prepositional phrase helps give the reader a better understanding of when and where actions taking place. Each prepositional phrase contains a preposition and at least one person, place, thing, or idea, and you should be triggering in your brain right now that that's a noun. So it's always going to start with a preposition and it's always going to end with a noun. So here you go, math people. Here's the formula. Preposition plus noun equals prepositional phrase. So what are prepositions? Whoop. Here we go. Here is a list of all the prepositions. Unlike infinitive, infinitive is always the word to plus an action word. Prepositions, you have to be a little careful because there is a longer list. Now, right here, this should be signaling off an alarm in your head because we just said that to plus an action word is an infinitive. Well, if we have to plus a noun, we have a preposition. So we need to be careful of the word to. So prepositions, here's a little diagram that can help you find most prepositions. If you can fit the word in this blank and it makes sense, you have yourself a preposition. So let's take this example. The ball rolled into the street. Okay, let's say we don't know what a preposition is, so we're going to try our little formula here, or we're going to try to fit this in to our sentence. So we're going to take the first word, the. Okay, a bee flies the bottle. That does not make sense. So we're going to go to our next word, ball. A bee flies ball the bottle. No, it does not make sense. So So we're going to go to the next one. Rolled. The bee flies rolled the bottle. No. Okay, we're going to go to the next one. Into. The bee flies into the bottle. Ah, ding, ding. Here we go. A bee can fly into the bottle. Well, guess what? This is our preposition. Okay, and we know that a preposition starts with a preposition and it ends with a noun. Okay, so we're going to look behind it, and if we go right here, this is our noun. Street is a place. So, into the street is our prepositional phrase. All right, before I was talking about being aware of the word to. A word to can be an infinitive and a preposition. Infinitive equals to plus an action word. Preposition equals to plus a noun. So the word to helps us find imposters. So if you see the word to in there, you have an imposter. Just be careful to figure out which one it is. Let's quick review the mark strategy. Now that we know the prepositions, now we can use the M. It is always important. Get in the habit now, especially when the sentences are easier. Mark off those imposters, because once you get rid of them, then you don't have to worry about them and them tricking you into thinking you have a different subject or a different verb. So the first thing you do when you are identifying your parts of speech in a sentence is mark off the imposters first. The next thing, ask yourself, is there a verb? I always look to see if there's action first. Is one of those words action? After that, if there's no action, then I look at the sentence for a linking verb. And you have a list of linking verbs. If you're not very good at those, just look at those and that will help you. After that, root out your subject. Ask who or what. Okay, that will help you. If you can answer that question, that will help you find the subject. And the last thing, key on the beginning. Do you have that capital letter at the beginning? Key on the ending. Do you have that in punctuation? And then key on the meaning. Does your sentence make sense? Once again, thank you for listening to me. Please feel free to watch this as many times as you need. And if you have any questions, please come find a staff member and ask. Have a wonderful, productive